What's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB The Show 24. So in last episode we began the year 10 season simulation, and we're 38 and 44. We had a couple parts of the season where we're actually above 500, so it's been a pretty good year for this team, and definitely this is going to be the best year in franchise history, which is very exciting. And it could be also the last year that we actually have a pretty high up pick in the draft, because we do have the first overall pick in this year's draft as well. So yeah, definitely going to be exciting to see what this next few years are like for this team. It's been a little bit of an interesting run in terms of how our players have been performing. In terms of offense, we haven't been a super good team. Actually, let me go to the standings to show you guys. We have not been a very good offensive team, as you can see in the AL West. We are scoring the least amount of runs per game. However, we are the second best team in runs allowed. We are actually the second best teams in runs allowed across the entire league, which is pretty insane. So our pitching has been fantastic so far this season. The only problems is our batting hasn't really been there, so I'm hoping that it can improve, because you can see right now in terms of batting average, we are the second worst offensive team in batting average, only just above the Baltimore Orioles. If we go over to something like runs allowed, I think it was, yeah, runs allowed, we are the second best team, only behind the Houston Astros. And yeah, we are definitely one of the best pitching teams by a large margin. So I'm hoping, obviously, that the pitching continues to pitch really well. And I'm hoping that the offense can start to find itself a little bit, because if our offense never seems to find itself, that's where we're going to get into a little bit of problematic stage. Because if our pitchers don't play good for a game, then we're not going to win games. So I'm hoping for just, obviously, our offense to find its way to improve itself, and for the pitching to also maintain itself. The pitching rotation has been fantastic. As you can see, Iwo Murr's been great. He's actually got a winning record, which is awesome. Walter Jung's kind of been a little bit mid. His ERA, his WHIP, and his win-loss ratio isn't the best. However, if we go to some advanced analytics here and look at his FIP, it actually suggests that he's been playing pretty well this season. So I honestly don't really know what to make of his season so far, but he's been a little bit of a mixed bag. Stan Nguyen has been insanely good. He did miss some time due to injury. However, he is 7-4. He's got a below 2 ERA and also a 1.14 WHIP. He's been really, really good. So I'm hoping that obviously he continues to do so, because maybe he could be a Cy Young candidate by the end of the season. And then David Na and Robert Matsui really have been the weak links in terms of pitching for us, which isn't great. However, at least we do have guys like Vincent Tan and Kazuhito Hayashi who could make the MLB next season and maybe bump these guys out of the lineup into like being relievers, or even back down to triple or double A. So there's that. Also, our relievers have been good so far, like Walter Cho. Leonard Sato's been kind of mixed, but he is 4-0 so far with a good FIP. Yeah, Eric Yamamoto has been solid. Yamashita has been solid. I also did move Chung over to relief pitcher based on the fact that he had been terrible as a closer so far. He will be back probably as a closer next season. We also have Walter Lee as a setup guy who's been good, and Tom Koo's been really good as well, so I moved him back to closer, so he will help us out hopefully in terms of closing out those games, because Philip Chung, he is still young, and he has not really been good at all so far. If we go to like WAR, you can see he's a -0.4, and his FIP rating is very, very bad too. So hoping obviously some guys have better years next year once they are a little bit more proven and got that experience. But anyways, before we get into the year 10 draft, let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into the draft and also continue to simulate, obviously, until we get our old prospects signed, so we could actually see how good this team is by the end of the episode. So the first comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, I agree, switch Tom Koo in the closer. Stan probably has to play more games to be up there for the Cy Young. If he stays healthy, he'll be up there. And yeah, that's why I did the Tom Koo and the closer and Chung swap. I think it should work out, hopefully. If Tom Koo obviously has his numbers go at worse again, maybe we need to make some more adjustments. But I think Tom Koo as a closer should work for now. He doesn't have that great of stamina. Meanwhile, Philip Chung actually has some pretty good stamina. So maybe this is the type of way we want to actually run it for future seasons. But I think for now, it's just kind of more of a little trial run for the team. As for Stan playing more games before he's up there for the Cy Young, I totally agree with that. Obviously, he did miss some time due to injury. And if we go to, I think it was, league leaders, you can see in pitching WAR, he's actually number 3 in pitching WAR, which is pretty insane considering he's playing like the least amount of games. However, he's way far off from Paul Skeens, who's got a 3.8 WAR. So I think Paul Skeens is likely going to be the Cy Young favorite. But you can see if we go to stuff like WHIP, for example, and we scroll down, Stan Nguyen is top 10, which is awesome. Walks allowed, he's tied for 7. Walter Jung is actually up there at number 4. So maybe that's why Walter Jung has some good stats, is because he doesn't really allow a lot of walks. If we go to stuff like strikeouts, I don't think we had anybody up there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we aren't really a strikeout throwing team. More of a pitch to contact team, I think it is. But home runs allowed, you can see, and Stan Nguyen's only allowed 5 home runs this entire season. He is number 1 in that rank. He's also number 1 in ERA at the moment too. So he definitely could get up there, but obviously he needs to pitch more innings, because if you look at somebody like Chad Winchester, he has pitched 111 innings. Meanwhile, you go down to Stan Nguyen, who's probably right here. He's only pitched a total of 99 innings. So I think it's just a lack of innings, but obviously he could pitch more of that down the road. And the last and final comment is from Tarantula T, who says, should probably send Tim Chen to single A. He sucks. And I totally agree. He really, really was doing bad. He had an above 2 whip, and his ERA was like an 8 or something like that. So I did demote him from double A down to single A. So he will get the play down there. And obviously we won't have stats for him this season, but I'm hoping that obviously that he gets some growth there, and then we could bring him back up to double A next season, and maybe he could do better than that. But right now he has been really, really bad. I can't take a look at his stats anymore since I already sent him down, but yeah, he was doing really atrocious, so I sent him down, and then I sent one of our relievers from AAA down to AA and made him a starter, because I don't want to make any of my relievers that I actually drafted as starters, so that's why I did it that way. But there's that, and let's get into, I think, the draft. So let's go an extra week. I need to make sure I have people scouting out, though. Don't really know what I want to scout out for this week up until the draft, though, because I could just get more interest on, like, the top prospects. So I think that's probably what I'm going to just lean towards doing. So actually, there was a guy that was interesting, I think, in the later stages of the draft, if I remember, at the end of last episode. Let me just double check on that. I think it was a first baseman. Michael Ling. Oh yeah, Michael Ling could be worth scouting out, to be honest. But I don't think he's going to be a top priority. I'll put him there, and we'll probably move him to second priority. And then I think there was a catcher as well. Let me just double check on that. Oh yeah, there was like Nori Oka, so we'll get Nori Oka up there as well. We're going to move him to top priority. Michael Ling will get moved to third priority once we add Chang Ho Chu back into that spot, because I want Chang Ho Chu's interest to get up there a little bit more, just because I don't want to risk not signing this guy if he is in draft, because he wasn't supposed to get drafted. We discovered this guy, so I'm hoping that he is still in the draft class, because if he is probably going to be our first overall selection, which is kind of exciting. So there you go. That's good to go. Let's simulate a week and see if our team could win some more games, because we should have I think like 2 weeks up until this draft. So let's see if we could get back closer to 500 again. There's a nice 12-2 win to start the episode. Logan Gregg injured. That doesn't matter because he's not a prospect of mine. Akio Yamamoto has strained his hamstring out for a few days, so at least it's not too long term. Gregg is no longer injured. That's okay. Body blood. Okay, not bad of a week. 3 wins out of 6 games. So we went 12-2, and another great game from Stan Nguyen, apparently. Then we lost 5-2, then a 16-2 win. Robert Matsui getting the win in that one. Then we lost 3-1 for Parker, but that's okay. That's still a good defensive game. And then a 7-4 win credited to Walter Cho. Walter Lee got a loss. But that Stan Nguyen win. That's let's take a look at his stats in that game, because Stan Nguyen's been insane. And I'm glad we locked him up when we did. Let's see. How much innings did he go? He went 7 innings, only giving up 3 hits and 1 walk. 12 strikeouts in that one for him. He's probably getting himself up there, definitely in that Cy Young conversation, which is very exciting. Alright, so Nori Oka so far is kind of looking pretty mid. And he's probably not even going to be in the draft class, but oh well. And Chang Ho Chu is still looking great. I am very excited for Chang Ho Chu, because I think if he is in the draft, obviously I think I take him first overall. And then I probably take one of the second basemen in the next round if they are available still. Michael Ling so far looking okay in terms of like a contact hitting guy. Not going to have a super high ceiling, but he could end up being a late round pick if he is in the draft class. If he's not in the draft class, obviously we could take him in a future draft if we have a pick like that. But like I said earlier, I think this is going to be one of the last drafts that we actually have a super high up pick, because we might end up having a draft like 15th overall or 12th overall or something like that next season. because it's going to be harder and harder for us to actually win a draft lottery. And watch, there's going to be a generational Japanese guy when we don't have a top 10 pick or something like that. All right, let's go another week because we have another week still, I think, until the draft, right? Yep, another week. Let's see if we get some wins, and then we'll get into the draft and see if we make some good decisions or not. Auto on that. 2 wins in a row. Then we lose 4 straight, of course. No, don't. Thank you. 5 losses in a row after we had 2 wins in a row. That kind of sucks. Let's go to 2033 and see who is still in this draft class. Chang Ho Chu is still. Okay, good. Okay. Nick was saying that he was thinking that he was going to be in this draft class. Like, I was talking to him on Discord, and he said that he thinks this guy was still going to be in the draft class, and he still is, which is great. So, Chang Ho Chu is likely going to be the first overall pick this year, which is pretty exciting. What other Asians are still in this year's draft class that didn't decide to drop out of nowhere? We should have those early guys still. Like, yeah, Lawrence Matsui might be our second round pick if he's still there. If he's not in the second round, obviously there is that high overall, low potential second baseman that will probably be our next pick if he is still in the class, which he likely is, because he was actually projected to still get drafted. Where is he? There he is, William Bayek. I think we already have a William Bayek too, which is kind of funny on shortstop. So we're drafting all the William Bayeks in the world. What else we got here? So that's 3 prospects so far. What other prospects are going to be eligible to us this year? Because I think there should be a couple more, if I'm not mistaken, in the later stages. Let's see. Oh yeah, Stanley Suzuki, another kind of high overall, low potential guy. He's actually looking pretty decent, so I think obviously we'll hold on to him on there. He could be a late round pick if he's still available and the AI didn't discover him. We also do have Michael Chen, the right fielder, who's also kind of intriguing just because we don't have a lot of outfielding prospects. So it looks like we should be able to draft an Asian in every round, potentially, unless for some reason AI decides to take them, which would be kind of annoying. William Fong, I didn't scout it at all, but I'll still definitely add him, obviously, to our list because he could be decent. Yeah, this year actually might have the most Asians I've seen in a while, which is kind of good. Gives us a better chance to get something good. So we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 again. Okay, 9 prospects. So the question is, yeah, we're definitely going to go Chang Ho Chu first round. But the question is Matsui going to be available in round 2? Because our scouts have him ranked at 46. So he's going to go between 16 and 46, probably. Which means he could be a first round talent. If he goes to us in the 40s, like late in the second round or something, that'd be great. And then William Bayek should be able to go to the next round regardless. So regardless, we should be able to get a good second baseman after Chang Ho Chu. Then we have some other guys with some good potential like Yamaguchi, but he's obviously going to be a major project. But we probably wouldn't take him till later. I probably would prefer somebody like Suzuki, who could be a 70-plus overall player. So, yeah, let's get in this draft and see what we do. So, Chang Ho Chu going to be the first overall selection this year. Should be exciting to see how good he is once we get to that. So, let's go start draft and take Mr. Chang Ho Chu. He also will give us a good depth at shortstop. He could also play second base, which is great, because obviously second base is another area that's kind of like not super strong. We do have Yokoyama in that spot, but we don't really have that much depth to it too. So Chang Ho Chu is the first overall selection in the year 10 draft. Welcome to Tokyo, man. And hopefully you could do well for us. His bonus demand is pretty damn high, but at least we should be able to afford that. Okay, who's going number 2? We'll take a look at the entire first round as we normally do. So Jake Connors is the second overall pick. He was projected to be a top 3 pick, and he could be very good, but unfortunately he's not Asian, so we couldn't have taken him. He's a third baseman. So we'll see how good that guy ends up being. And in the third overall selection in this year's draft is George Orr. So the type of guys that we expected, a second baseman, probably from the States, my guess. But George Orr goes third overall. That seems weird to say George Orr. It's a bit of a tongue twister. All right, now let's see what the rest of this first round's looking like. So the Twins have 4. They take Randy Wolf. So there's the first outfielder off the board. He could be potentially a really good player as well. He was supposed to go maybe between 9 and 13, so maybe a bit early for him, maybe not. Damon Linder is the first pitcher of the draft to go, which is kind of surprising that it took that long as he goes to Boston. So we'll see how good he is. Another second baseman going in Manuel Gutierrez to the Dodgers. So a lot more infielders in this draft than in prior drafts. Usually it's always a bunch of starting pitchers, as Maurice Reyes is the second starting pitcher to go. This guy could be an insanely high overall. Based on our scouts right now, we didn't even scout him out at all, really, but 80 to 99 overall, potentially, which would be insane. Piper is the next one to go to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He could be a high overall, low potential guy. Yeah, there's some really intriguing players in this draft. I'm curious to see how good the AI has it. Then Robert Head goes. Robert Head, what a name. Going to the Diamondbacks. He's a left fielder. And then Estevan Carrera, the third starting pitcher to go, goes to Tampa Bay. Detroit at 11 takes the first catcher in the draft. That's Henry Benitez. Okay. He's currently injured, but who knows, maybe he's a good catcher. The Orioles at 12 takes Carlos Carrasco, a center fielder. So that's the second center fielder to go, the third outfielder total. The Reds at 13 are going to take Arlen Martinez. So there's another starting pitcher. He was supposed to go in the second round, so that might be a huge reach for the Reds. The Padres take Matsui. Damn, man, that sucks. That sucks. Well, hopefully Matsui is not as good as our scouts were saying. But Lawrence Matsui would have been nice to take first overall if we didn't discover Chang-Ho Chu. I was hoping he'd fall to the next round, but yeah, we knew that he was going to go maybe in the first round, and he does there. Bernardo Diaz, looking pretty decent maybe too. Starting pitcher going to the Royals. And Carlos Andino going to the Marlins as a third baseman. So yeah, a lot less starting pitchers in this first round than prior seasons, I think. Todd Gonzalez going to the Mariners. The Guardians are on the clock. Who are they going to take? Ryan Borowitz, a third baseman again. A lot of good third basemen in this first round, apparently, because that's the third baseman to go. The Houston Astros at 19 are going to take Wes Wolf, a starting pitcher. Hopefully he's not too good, because obviously the Astros are one of those tough teams in our division that are good at pitching already. The Phillies take Estevan Espinoza, so the first shortstop to go since our pick with Chang-Ho Chu, I think. The Yankees at 21 are going to select Leroy Dillard, another third baseman. Yeah, this is a third base heavy draft, which means that guy that's supposed to go late that might have potential, but we're definitely going to have to take him if we have a chance. Robbie Conley goes to the Washington Nationals, another starting pitcher. Texas Rangers at 23 are going to take Brian Rivas, another starting pitcher. So now all the pitchers are starting to go, but there definitely was a lot more infield outfielders early on. As the Brewers at 24 are going to select Danny Parks, another starting pitcher. And he's projected to go 64 to 66 maybe, so that could be a major reach there at 24, but you never know. Could be worth it for them. The Rockies are going to select Eduardo Gomez, so there's 4 straight starting pitchers. Now we're getting all of them off the board, it seems like. White Sox at 26 are going to select Richard White, the first right fielder to go off the board. So that's like, yeah, every outfielding position has gone so far in this first round. The Mets get Joaquin Blanco. That's an interesting name. I thought it was going to be Joaquin, but it's Joaquin. He goes to the Mets, starting pitcher. Blue Jays take Aaron Herman, who's a left fielder, so another left fielder off the board in this first round. 2 more picks in the first round to go. The Angels and the Braves. The Angels take Thad Lengerich? Yeah, Thad Lengerich, not a starting pitcher, a shortstop. So there's another shortstop in his first round. And the final pick of the first round, Gene McKinley, going to the Braves as a starting pitcher. Okay, what are the Dodgers going to take with, or not Dodgers, the Angels are going to take with 31. Justin Hamby. So that was prospect promotion and incentive. Geez, I can barely talk. We have 39th. So we got a couple more selections to go through before we get our next pick. Barry Tyler, the top projected prospect, just went. So that will be interesting to see if Tampa Bay just got the hugest steal of this franchise mode so far. Ruben Stoitz going to the Brewers. He goes next as a right fielder as well. Bayek, Suzuki, and all those guys are still on the board for us, which is nice. Rafael Rosa, the first closing pitcher to go off the board. He was projected to be a top 5 selection maybe, going to the White Sox. The Twins at 35 take Bo McNeil, so that's back-to-back closers. What are the Marlins going to take at 36? They are going to select Maurice Jordan, another third baseman. Definitely a lot of third baseman early on, which makes me think third base is a strong position. Or not. You never know. Reds take John Harden, who's a starting pitcher. And one more selection before we get to make our next pick, which is exciting. Detroit at 38 is going to take Mike Herzog, another closer. So our next pick is going to be William Bayek. Looking like a pretty decent contact hitter, pretty well-rounded. He's got great interest as well. So William Bayek is going to be the 39th overall pick in this year's draft. So welcome aboard to him. Hopefully he's decent. And we do have 40 as well, which I think will probably lean towards Suzuki because of his overall range, to be honest. I do like Michael Chen as well, but I think we might be able to get him next round. Yeah, I think we should be able to. And then Yamaguchi, this guy is going to be probably a late pick of ours. And he is a third baseman as well. So I think we're going to go with Stanley Suzuki here. Give us more depth at that first base position. So welcome aboard to David Suzuki. Or not David Suzuki. Stanley Suzuki, goddamn. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. Oh, well. He's not 100% scouted, so it's a little bit of a risk. But I am willing to take that risk. So welcome aboard to him. Hopefully he's decent. Hopefully he's got a good starting overall. That's what I'm hoping for with him. All right, let's into our next selection. And one player went off the board at least before our next player, which kind of sucks. That player was... Who? Who was the... Oh, Michael Chen already did go. Damn, man, that sucks. That sucks. He goes to Kansas City, which means we only have 4 players left we could select in this draft. So we have to be probably going with a relief pitcher here. I might honestly go with the third baseman just because the relief pitchers should be still available. Yamaguchi should go way later, though, still, based on our scouts. Maybe I'll go for one of these pitchers. 18 years old. Cho's 18 as well. Let's go for Richard Cho. Sure, I'll take more relievers. Hopefully Hitoki is still available next round. He is. Good. So we'll go with Hitoki just because I have a lot of relievers. But if those other guys are available still next round, I will take them too. So Yamaguchi is going to join the team as well. So welcome aboard to Hitoki. And we'll go to our next selection. Yeah, one of the relievers went off the board as I was expecting. That would be, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Richard Bong just went as the last pick in that round. Which means one of our selections we're not going to be able to sign because a lot of other guys went earlier than expected. So William Fong is going to be the last selection we have. And then the last pick in the 6th round we cannot sign, unfortunately, unless there's one that I missed. So I'm going to double check that I didn't miss somebody. Is there anybody that I missed? Let's see. Looking to see if there's an Asian that I did not scout that is still supposed to get drafted. Bill Bone is not Asian. And unfortunately, there's nobody. So we're going to have to let the II decide on this. And we'll sim the rest of the draft. So we cannot sign this Mario Chavez guy, who could be really good. But obviously, he is not from an Asian country. He's from Dominican Republic. So I hope that was a good draft for us. I think we made the right selection taking Chang-Ho Chu first overall. But I wish that Matsui kind of fell to the 2nd round and all that. But it was a little bit of a wishful thinking with that. All right, so Home Run Derby. Do we have anybody in the Home Run Derby? Because there is a chance that Nomo could be in the Home Run Derby as a rookie, which would be insane. So let's see if he's in the Home Run Derby. He is not. He is not. He might have just missed out on it. But Vlad Guerrero already has 31 home runs. Goddamn. All right, let's skip through that. So actually, it said that we could sign players already, right? Yeah, we can. Okay. Kind of a little bit earlier than normal, I think. Let's get Chang-Ho Chu's interest higher. Let's see if we could already sign William Bayek. Actually, we can't. Wait, why can't I sign him? Why can't I sign him already? Oh, maybe it is glitched out or something like that. Because he definitely has the interest to get signed. I'm going to just put him on there. Because it won't let me sign anybody so far. So, yeah, I think it's just a little glitched out right now. So let's go past the Home Run Derby, and then maybe I should be able to sign players soon. Yeah, I think it was just glitched out. But let's take a look at who made the All-Star game for your Tokyo Tropic Turtles. Who will be representing us this year. And who might get a boost because of making the All-Star game. So, Stan Nguyen has made the All-Star game as expected. Shout out to Stan. His ERA has gotten a little bit worse since we last looked, but he has been elite so far. 19 games started, 12 quality starts. He has a 2.22 ERA, 1.16 whip. He's been probably one of the best pitchers in the entire MLB, and his contract is just fantastic too because it gets less and less each year. So shout out to Stan. He's in the All-Star game. Nobody else in terms of pitching, so no Iwo Murray or anything. Any batters making it to the All-Star game? Probably not, based on our batting. Actually, Charles Nomo did make the All-Star game as a starter. So Charles Nomo, in his rookie season, doing a lot of work. The 19 home runs, the 59 RBIs has gotten him into the All-Star game. So shout out to Nomo. And then the other one is going to be nobody else. So Nguyen and Nomo are your All-Star representatives. I like it. Let's go through this game, and then we should be actually able to start signing our prospects, right? It's not going to be glitched out anymore. Okay, perfect. So William Bayek, we did get interest up there on that because of those days too, which is nice. William Bayek is already accepted, which is nice to see. Stanley Suzuki has declined his first offer, which is okay. Who else we got here to get interest higher? Richard Cho needs interest higher. We'll try and sign Mr. William Fong already, which he does accept. Fantastic. And in Hitoki Yamaguchi, we should be able to sign you up as well already. He declines the first offer. That's okay. Let me see. Let's get Suzuki's interest up a little bit higher as well. And we will go a few more days. Now we could sign them up again, hopefully. Yeah, Chang Ho-Chu is going to be really good, I think. I am very excited to see how good he is. He could be probably one of the best players we've drafted overall-wise, or potential-wise, I should say. So Stanley, let me get you up there. Thank you for signing. And then Hitoki Yamaguchi, let me try and get you to accept. Thank you. And that means we just need to sign Cho and Chu. We're going to literally have so many guys with the same last name that I am going to get majorly confused at some point, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, 2 games against Seattle. We lose them both. Yeah, our team's definitely on a downward slide. We are 43 and 55 now, but that's okay. We are now the worst place in our division. Might be in the entire league now at this point. But at least there is some promise with the future of this team. Let's see. Chu does not accept that first offer. We'll wait a little bit longer. See if we can get that interest meter a little higher. We lose those games back-to-back as well. Our offense has definitely not been super good because we only have 1 run scored in our last 2 games. Yikes. Okay, come on, Chang. Hey, thank you, Chang Ho-Chu. And then Richard Cho's interest should get above 50%, and we should be able to easily sign him as well. 7-1 win. That's a nice one to end the losing streak, and then we lose 7-2. Yeah, a lot of inconsistencies with this team at the moment, but that's okay. That is okay. Okay, we should be able to get you signed, Cho. Yes, we can. That means everybody is signed because obviously we cannot sign Mario Chavez. All right. So now we could actually start going up till the actual draft results. We win that game 2-0. That's nice to see. Lose 2-1 and then lose 3-6 or 6-3. Let's decline that because obviously we aren't looking at any trades. We got to go one more day, I think, and then we could probably take a look at our picks, maybe. I think we could take a look at our picks now. Actually, no, it's one more day. Of course it is. Okay, so the question is now, how good was our draft? Did we find the players we need for the future of this team with the first overall selection and all that? Come on, Chang Ho-Chu. Be a potential and be a good starting overall. And not as good as I was hoping. B potential is still okay. Don't get me wrong. 58 at 18 is a solid starting point. But I was hoping for an A potential. That kind of sucks because that means Matsui could have been better than him. And we could have taken Matsui first overall. But I don't know if Chang Ho-Chu would have fallen to the second round. That was the risk. The good thing with Chang Ho-Chu, he's got fantastic speed and stealing. He's also got good durability. His arm is good. So he should be a decent defensive shortstop, potentially. Maybe with some good contacting down the road, too. So there's Chang Ho-Chu. I don't mind the selection. At least it's not like a C or a D potential. Our next pick, William Bayek. No, what? Are you kidding me? I thought he would be a B or C potential. But he's going to be a high overall with a low potential as we kind of expected. So kind of makes sense. He's got good contact hitting already, though, so I think we can definitely get him to outgrow his potential. He's a 61 at 21, which is decent, but I don't know if he's going to be a huge factor for our team, but it gives us more depth at second base at least, with a guy that can actually hit the ball, which is something we need more of. The next selection, Stanley Suzuki is fantastic. Holy crap. Stanley Suzuki is fantastic. Exactly what I was kind of hoping for with him is a high overall, low potential. He's a deep potential at 18, which kind of sucks, but he's a 70. So we have him. We have the other Lee. Theodore Lee is a first baseman. So we have a little bit of a logjam at first base, but Suzuki gives us more depth. Great contact hitter already. And I think he could easily outgrow that D potential, kind of like what Tom Lee did, and maybe become like an A potential at some point. So I really like that selection with Suzuki. The next pick, Richard Cho, kind of sucks. He's a 59 at 18 with D potential. Does give us more depth in terms of relievers, so at least I like that a little bit. But yeah, not a hugely great selection. Our next pick, Hitoki Yamaguchi, as we kind of expected, would be a low overall. His potential is lower than I anticipated as well, because I thought he would be at least a B potential, but he's only a C potential, 43 at 18. So yeah, he's kind of a major project, which kind of sucks. But it does give us more depth at third base, so I like it. And then William Fong is pretty good overall-wise. Once again, low potential, but 63 at 21 with D potential. At least gives us more depth at relief pitcher. So I'll take it. And that is our draft. I don't think it was a great draft for this team based on potential. I didn't want to go to that screen. I wanted to go to this screen. But yeah, I don't think in terms of potential it was a great draft for us. However, I think a couple guys like Bayek and Suzuki could definitely outgrow those potentials. Chang Ochu is a solid pick, but all of a sudden isn't expecting only to be a B potential. And then everybody else is kind of mid. Like Yamaguchi's going to take a while to develop. And then Cho and stuff, like, that's a lot of D potential players. So definitely I'd say a weak class, but at least we got more depth to our roster, and I will take it, I guess. But hopefully we don't get into these problems where these draft classes are just going to always be this bad. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the league and see how they did by comparisons. So the Mariners didn't get really anything huge in terms of potential either. So there's them. The Rangers got some really good picks, apparently. Those guys are solid in terms of potential. Marco Tejada, 90 potential at 19. And then Diego Moya, 89 potential at 18. That's not too bad from the Rangers. The Braves, Gene McKinley is solid. But Jared McCabe is a fantastic steal. 59 at 21 is a little low, but 94 potential is really good. The Miami Marlins. Not a strong draft for them either, really. Yeah, a lot of teams kind of had mid-drafts, it seems like, right now. Joaquim Blanco is okay. That's a solid starting overall for Eric Kepler. Dirk Cook is pretty good. He's definitely their best prospect out of this draft. The Phillies, kind of once again, not a super high potential guy. Gavin Reagan has a good starting overall. Adrian Burgos is terrible overall-wise for a 23-year-old. The Washington Nationals, okay. Robbie Conley's a great pick. 64 at 18, 94 potential, so they might have found their future ace right there. So that's a good pick. The Cubs, yeah, I think a lot of teams might have had actually not that great of drafts. Maurice Reyes has a good starting overall, but low potential. The Reds, Arlen Martinez is not bad, but the rest of their picks, I don't really know about that, to be honest. Bill Bone is trash, jeez. 54 potential. The Brewers, Danny Parks is really good. 64 at 18, 94 potential, so another future ace. Stoitz is okay too. Good starting overall for an 18-year-old. Frank Mora, What about the next team? The Pirates. Piper is good starting overall for a 23-year-old, but low potential. Chris Johnson is a good starting overall as well, but low potential, and he's already 22. Some interesting players there. The St. Louis Cardinals, another really good pick here. Jake Connors, 74 at 21, 94 potential. That's a really nice little pick there. He was a top 3 selection. So, yeah, that's a decent one. And that's that. In terms of next players, the Diamondbacks, Robert Head is okay. John Pena is also okay, but everybody else, eh. The Rockies, not a really good draft for the Rockies. But shout out to Will Bruce, or Bruce Willis as I'll call him. Okay, there's a really good selection. The Dodgers got a good second baseman. 58 at 19 is a solid starting overall. 95 potential. So there's Manuel Gutierrez, who looks like he could be a great contact hitter down the road. In terms of other players, kind of average. High overall in Santiago Marte. Hugo Adamson is okay as well. Good steal there, actually. There's Lawrence Matsui, who didn't get signed. Okay, that's big for us in terms of next year's draft class, potentially, because he should re-enter it because he was 18 years old. So Lawrence Matsui, the first-round pick of the Padres, decided not to sign with them. Maybe because he wanted to join our team instead. You never know. Could be some controversy right there. So that is kind of huge. Didn't expect him to go unsigned, but the Padres had a pretty bad draft because the guys that they signed were all trash. So we don't know how good Lawrence Matsui is, but I'm expecting him to be in the first round again next year, unless he falls to the second round or something like that. The next team, the Giants, George Orr was okay. Yeah, not any super high potential guys there on that team. The Orioles also had a really bad draft, and they didn't sign their first rounders. So I think considering our draft class right now, I think our draft class was kind of normal compared to every other team. Like, was just a terrible class altogether. Like, there's some good players in it, but you see a lot of teams with a lot of deep potential guys. So we weren't the only team. Okay, now we see a good team, of course. The Red Sox had a good draft. Damian Linder's fantastic. 70 at 18 is great. 92 potential. Marco Beltran is not bad. Christopher Kinslow is a good steal, but he is a little bit low for 22-year-olds. And Milt Mosquera is a low overall, but a good potential. So yeah, it looks like the best draft so far in terms of every round is maybe the Red Sox. The Yankees, kind of a weird draft for them. Good starting overall for Leroy Dillard. But yeah, they didn't have a super strong class either. The Rays, Estevan Carrera is actually a pretty good overall at 18. Low potential-ish, 84 potential, so could be useful. And yeah, he could be a decent starting pitcher for sure. Barry Tyler, who was projected to be the first overall selection, was kind of good, kind of mid. He is a reliever only, though, so I guess I could understand why he didn't go first overall. But 69 at 22 is a fantastic starting overall. Only see potential, but he could still be a very good reliever for that Tampa Bay Rays team. And then Luis Escobar is a solid steal. 67 at 18 with 77 potential. And they also drafted Danny Stoitz, who's a really good steal. 50 at 18 with 88 potential. So they didn't sign a lot of their prospects, but the ones that they did were okay. The Toronto Blue Jays, not a strong draft for them. Good starting overall there for Murillo, but in general, pretty bad class. The White Sox took a guy named White, and he was not very good because he was unsigned. He was actually probably pretty good, but they didn't sign him too. So a lot of first rounders didn't get signed, which is kind of interesting. Rafael Rosa is immediately going to be a really good closer. Wow. That might be the first really good player we've seen in a while. 80 overall at 21. He's got 95 potential. So he's going to be an impact player right away for the White Sox as a closer. So that's a really good steal. He could be in AAA next year too, but he's got really good strikeouts per nine. Like, this guy's going to be probably a future reliever of the year award winner, my guess. So shout out to Rafael Rosa. Some other okay picks, but nothing insane. Then you'll go on to the Guardians. I mean, in terms of depth, at least they didn't have a deep potential guy that they signed, so that's decent. The Detroit Tigers, also kind of the same boat. Benitez is okay. Herzog is pretty solid, 70 at 21, 87 potential. Alfonso's okay. John Zito's okay. Yeah, it was just an okay draft for them. Shout out to Patrick Fisher, though, because that's a name of a former NHL player, so that's kind of funny. The Royals, Bernardo Diaz is pretty good. Good starting overall, but a little bit of a lower potential. The player that we were looking at, Michael Chen, is okay, but I don't know if I would say he's an insane prospect by any stretch. 45 at 18 is pretty low. and he's got 74 potential. Could have been useful for sure, but I don't know if I would have taken him still. He definitely could have been useful, better than some of those D potential guys we drafted, but I don't know too much about Chen. But yeah, it looks like the Royals had a kind of a mid-draft. The Twins, Bo McNeil, really, really good. So another good closing pitcher. I believe that other closer that we saw that was an 80 overall went in the competitive or unbalanced pick, I think. Yeah, it probably was actually, yeah. So Bo McNeil is another really good one. 77 at 20 with A potential. Both those two guys were out of Illinois too, I think. So Illinois producing some good closing pitchers apparently. So yeah, Bo McNeil's going to be a good player. He could easily play in the MLB right away too, but he's probably maybe a year out instead. So some good closers in this draft. The Astros with Wes Wolf, he's solid, which kind of sucks. And Johnny McNeil is kind of a low overall for a 23-year-old, but he's got good potential. So, oh, good overall from Sean James too. 73 overall, 73 potential though. And that is the Astros. We're almost back to our picks again. The Angels might have had some of the best deals in this draft class. Jack Ayala, a little bit low overall, but that's okay. Then we go to Charlie Connolly. Really good relief pitcher prospect. 52 at 18, A potential. Yeah, it's a good steal. And then Mark Herrera, another solid steal, but a little bit low overall for a 20-year-old as a catcher. And then back to our picks again. We only had the 1A potential, but I am excited still, I think, for Stanley Suzuki for sure. And maybe for Bayek as well. The other guys are kind of up in the air a little bit, but all things considered, I think we had an okay draft, but obviously there was teams with way better drafts than us, but there was also teams with way worse drafts. And the fact that Matsui's re-entering the draft next year probably at least gives me hope that next year's draft class will have some good players for us to take as well. Final few things we got to do to wrap up this episode. Let's take a look at who's up for a contract extension in next episode so you guys can kind of give me some feedback for the offseason already a little bit. So Philip Chung is going to need a contract. He still has a while before he becomes a free agent, so he's probably not going to get a long-term deal just yet. Nomo should probably get a long-term deal. He has a lot of years left still before arbitration, though, so maybe we want to play the long game a bit. But he's up to 22 home runs and 70 RBIs already in his first season. He's 25 already, so we got to be aware about that. But he's a fantastic power hitter against righties, and that's something that we obviously need in our lineup because we're not a super offensive team right now. Also, Tom Lee is up for free agency. He's got 3 years of ARB left, so if we want to sign Tom Lee long term, this might be the year to do so. David Na and Matsui are obviously going to be kind of guys that I just wean out a little bit because they're not great. So I probably would give them like 1-2 year deals. Yokoyama is getting close to being a free agent as well. He has been good in batting average, so maybe we'd want to sign him long term. I don't really know. Takashi's kind of like a stopgap, so I don't really know too much if I will sign him long term. The other guys should be relatively easy to bring back for a while. You do have guys like Seo, though, who is getting closer to free agency, too. So, Brian Chu as well, I think, is getting close to free agency. Yeah, he's in his arbitration stages already. So, we got to think logically on some of these signings for sure. So, there's that. Let's take a look at our updated player stats so far for the season. Also, take a look at the stats updates. So, if I go to team rankings, obviously, yeah, we're now down to dead last in batting average, so the Orioles have passed us. But are we still up there in terms of runs allowed? No. We have dropped down to tied for 7th, but that's okay. That's still way better than last year. So, some things have definitely fallen off a bit, but that's okay. Let's take a look at our player stats so far briefly. So, Iowa Murr's getting a little bit worse, but he's still playing decent. Jung, kind of the same boat. Stan Nguyen's still been insanely good. He might be up there now for this Cy Young. He is up to a 90 overall, so our rotation is going to be pretty filthy next year. Na has been kind of bad still, and Matsui's been bad. The relievers have been okay. Philip Chung's numbers, I don't know if he's been better as a reliever or not. What about Tom Koo? I think Tom Koo's doing his job as a closer. Yeah, I think he's doing his job, if I'm not mistaken. He might have blown some saves, though, too. Let's take a look at some other stats here. Obviously, AA doesn't matter in terms of starting pitchers, but in terms of relievers, looks like some of them are doing good again, which is nice. In terms of AAA, Vincent Tan's probably going to be MLB bound soon, which is exciting. And same with Hayashi. Both those guys are probably going to jump into the 4 and 5 spot for Matsui in, I guess, next season. Wow, some of the relievers have been pretty bad. That's okay. Vincent Chang is another guy that could end up making it sometime to the MLB level soon because he's already a high overall. All right. What about batting? So MLB-wise, you have Sato on a really good average. So Sato's having a great season. Yamazaki, his batting average, I think, has improved this season from the last few games. So I think he's in a good spot now. Tom Lee's been pretty solid. Charles Nomo has been insanely good. Raymond Park has kind of struggled, but he's getting home runs at least. You have Yokoyama on a 262, Seo on a 250. All right, seems like some of the batting averages are getting a little bit better. And then in terms of like AA and stuff like that, looks pretty consistent still with what it was looking like before. AAA, Robert Yabu has been great. Sasaki, okay. Yeah, it looks like some stats are pretty solid still. I'm not too mad at the averages anymore. In terms of, let me actually go to the injury list, see if there's anybody injured. Oh yeah, Brian Shin's still out. He'll be back in 1 to 2 weeks. That's good. But I do want to take a look at what was the thing? Oh yeah, the award leaders. Because I did see that like at one point, if we go to the players of the month, back for June, you can see that Nguyen was the pitcher of the month. He was insanely good in June. And then Charles Nomo was the rookie of the year in June as well. And then he was the rookie of the year also in May. So I'm curious if anybody is up there for any awards currently at the moment still. Like I think Nomo is definitely going to win rookie of the year because he made the All-Star game as a starter. But I'm not too sure if we have anybody up there yet for Cy Young. Yeah, no, it's still. These three guys are still the favorites for the Cy Young. So, unfortunately, even though we were having a good year with Nguyen, I don't think he's going to be a Cy Young candidate, but there's obviously next season and seasons to come. But yeah, Nomo, I think, is pretty much locked in Rookie of the Year because he's just killing Grady Morton. Grady Morton obviously has a better batting average, but the home run count, the RBI count is way off. And then Nino Zavala has been an okay starting pitcher, but yeah, it's definitely going to be Nomo, I think, that wins the Rookie of the Year this year, which is kind of nice. Yamazaki could be winning Gold Glove for catcher, so that's at least a positive as well if he keeps up on the current pace. So we should have some awards this season. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will simulate the rest of the Year 10 regular season. We'll wrap up the stats and all that stuff to see how good our players had this year, and obviously the next episode afterwards will be the offseason again. But I think this team's definitely trending in the right direction. Obviously, we kind of have been falling off a little bit in terms of the last few, this entire episode in terms of winning games. But obviously, we are literally only a couple wins away from our best season yet. So I definitely think we are still trending in the right direction. It's just all about getting our hitting to be better because our pitching has definitely been good so far. It has fallen off a little bit. But I think if our batting gets going as well, we're definitely going to win a lot more games than we did this season as well. So let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.